Welcome back. Today I am going to present you a science fiction drama called Passengers. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins in space with the starship Avalon on autopilot, on its way to the colony world of Homestead 2 during a major evacuation of Earth's people. The 5,000 passengers and staff are all sleeping in hibernation pods for the 120-year voyage. The journey has lasted 30 years. The ship is traveling through a meteor storm, and power is redirected to the forward shields. The spacecraft then collides with a massive meteor, and the power blinks. Red alert panels appear in the control room, and the power soon returns to normal. Something terrible has occurred. Jim Preston, a mechanical engineer, awakens in his pod to the sound of a cheerful computer voice assuring him that they would soon arrive at Homestead 2. He is taught that feeling bewildered and weak after hibernation is typical. The computer scans his wristband and directs him to his cabin, where he sleeps. He wakes up the next day, ponders what to dress when he meets fellow travelers, and then makes his way to a cafeteria where he is the only one. He attends a colonist orientation session on Homestead, but he is the only one present. The cheerful computer-generated teacher is baffled by his inquiry as to why no one else is present. Jim visits the main concourse but receives no assistance from the information kiosk. He locates an office from which he can send a message to the Homestead Company, which he is cautioned would be costly. He sends a message saying that he is the only one awake and in need of assistance, only to discover that it will be 15 years before anybody on Earth hears his message. He is all alone. Jim locates all of the ship's manuals. He reads the documentation for the hibernation pods but can't figure out how to restart it once the occupant has awoken. He cannot enter the area where the crew pods are to try to rouse anybody for assistance, nor can he enter the command area. His bracelet does not provide him with the necessary clearance. Later, Jim locates the robot bartender Arthur, with whom he may converse, although the robot is trained to give bartender advice, such as, if you don't like where you are, change things. Jim is a general class traveler with a modest cabin who upgrades to a suite with more luxurious facilities. He spends a year using the ship's entertainment amenities, but without other people, he gets increasingly lonely. He proceeds to a room where guests may don space suits and go outside while still being safely linked to the ship. Jim considers committing himself by entering the airlock without a spacesuit, but he is stopped and rushes inside the pod section. He stumbles onto a pod containing a stunning woman named Aurora. He examines her passenger profile, which she had created before the ship set off. She is a journalist who is visiting Homestead to have fun and learn about why people chose to be colonists. He believes she's ideal after reading her novels. He debates waking her awake, knowing that it will consign her to death on the ship. But he cannot bear the loneliness after a year alone, so he physically wakes her up, hiding before she notices him. Aurora is awakened by the same cheerful computer program and led to her cabin to sleep. The next day, Aurora wakes up alone and travels to the main concourse, where she meets Jim. He tells her how long he's been awake, but he doesn't tell her that he woke her up. He has requested that Arthur, the robot bartender, not inform Aurora what he has done, and Arthur has agreed. Aurora and Jim chat every day about how to mend the pods. Aurora swims, runs, and starts writing her narrative. When she asks Jim why he left Earth, he explains he likes to manufacture and mend things, and on Earth, things are replaced when they break and are not fixed. He wishes to live in a home that he has built himself. Her aim was to travel to the colony, spend a year there talking to colonists about their reasons for leaving Earth, and then return to Earth. Aurora is a gold-class passenger who utilizes her rank to provide him more extravagant breakfasts than his ordinary clearance allows. Jim invites Aurora out on a date after some time of getting to know each other, and she accepts. He brings her to the spacesuit chamber after they eat, where there are 2 suits, and they both get suited and head outdoors. Aurora is ecstatic when she returns, and they go to Jim's cabin and make love. They are content, have a schedule of exercising, stargazing, and taking use of the ship's entertainment and dining options. Another year passes, and it's Aurora's birthday. Jim prepares a special surprise for her, a ring. When Aurora walks into the bar, she tells Arthur that she and Jim have no secrets, and Jim agrees, not realizing that Arthur interprets this as Jim telling Aurora that he woke her up. Jim enters the men's room, and Arthur tells Aurora what a wise decision it was for Jim to choose her to wake up. Aurora is devastated and enraged, and she orders Jim to avoid her. She breaks into his cabin while he is sleeping one night and assaults him with her fists. While she's running, Jim tries to explain himself over the ship's intercom. but Aurora screams that Jim took her life. While this is going on, the control room is getting more and more warnings of framework disappointments, more gradually. Jim and Aurora have witnessed minor disappointments, such as the cleaning robot's frameworks. It's been a long time since the meteor hit. Gus awakens one day and appears on the concourse. He is a deck team boss who has gotten up on time. Hibernation units have never died, and he recognizes that something major is wrong. His wristband grants them access to the war room, where they discover that the boat's programmed diagnostics have failed and they must physically inspect each deck. While Gus is conducting tests, there is a major gravity failure and Aurora nearly drowns while swimming in the pool. Gus discovers that there have been cascading failures, and the computer can create a timeline indicating that the first failure occurred 2 years ago. Gus determines that the first few failures were caused by power diversions in an attempt to re-equalize the load, but the load became too heavy, resulting in more and more failures. The entire ship is in danger of dying in space, dooming the entire crew and passengers. The first affected area was in the main engine area, but a manual inspection will be required to determine where. Gus is having a nervous breakdown right now, so Jim and Aurora rush him to the hospital and place him in the clinical auto-symptomatic scanner. There is widespread corruption throughout his body, and his demise is imminent due to the malfunctioning hibernation unit. He puts on his uniform and prepares to leave, giving Jim and Aurora his wristband so they can get to the area of the boat where they need to go to fix things. Jim and Aurora discover an opening created by a shooting star that passes through a few basic regions while designing. Aurora is nearly sucked out due to an opening through the structure when they open one of the entryways. She blocks it with a tablet Jim hands her, and Jim seals the hole with a liquid sealant. The area becomes pressurized, and they discover that the fusion engine exhaust must be manually vented. Because the manual override does not work, Jim must don a spacesuit and go outside to repair it. He has to go into the exhaust passage to open a flap, but it won't stay open unless Jim holds it open, so the manual vent works. Aurora, desperate not to lose Jim, argues with him on the radio before pulling the lever. Jim is pushed out, his tether snaps, and a hole appears in his suit. He says goodbye to Aurora. She dashes into his spacesuit and heads out to find him. She retrieves Jim by grabbing his tether, but he is unresponsive when they get inside. She drags him to the hospital, where the autopsy confirms Jim's death. Aurora instructs the machine to resuscitate Jim using Gus' wristband and his override code, and it works. She is relieved and overjoyed that he is alive. Things return to normal on the ship later. Jim is working on the autodock and informs Aurora that he discovered that by using the command override, he can put her back into hibernation in the infirmary, but he will be alone again. Aurora decides to stay awake with Jim and make a life on the ship with him. After 88 years, it's the end of the voyage, and the captain and crew awaken to find a massive tree, a slew of trailing vines and vegetation, birds flying, and a cabin that could house Jim and Aurora's grandchildren. Aurora's voiceover tells the passengers her story, explaining how they made a good life where they were. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Give a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.